Imagine waking up to find that the lifeblood of your business has vanished overnight. This is the harsh reality facing countless small producers and families at the US-Mexico border. As of August 29, Mexico's National Postal Service abruptly halted the acceptance of packages from the US, following the permanent closure of the Dynamis exemption. This bold move transformed political rhetoric about border control into a day-to-day logistical nightmare, leaving e-commerce habits and established supply models gasping for air. Suddenly, the conveyor belts, once bustling with parcels, stand still when shipping labels are prepared but customs codes are absent. The initial victims of this dramatic change are microproducers, who depended on smooth shipping transitions to thrive, and families that send simple packages to loved ones across the border. The previously criticized duty-free entry zone for low-value items under 800 tons has vanished, replaced by a stringent system where every package is now subject to either origin-based tariffs or a hefty fixed customs duty $80 to $200 for low-value items. Postal networks scramble to implement new infrastructures capable of real-time tax calculations and data transmission, but when they falter, the hold suspended solution is activated. This situation reflects a frantic shift in the postal landscape rather than a carefully crafted policy choice, exposing the vulnerabilities of traditional channels. As these rules rapidly evolve, the only reliable option for international shipping becomes express carriers equipped with advanced software for collection and compliance. In this challenging climate, the border trade pulses through small packages. Artisans, local creators, and those on routes from Tijuana to San Diego now face an uphill battle. Their once low-cost, direct shipping model is under siege by rising customs demands. The dream of easy online shopping and speedy delivery is yielding to a world where declarations are mandatory, and control flows dictate every move. The heart of the problem lies in a new reality where the essence of daily transactions has changed, affecting not just the market but every family reliant on these connections. With the shuttering of affordable mailing routes, families now grapple with stringent documentation requirements that could hold their gifts hostage at customs. Amidst social media cries of "my package is stuck," confusion reigns over compliance with the new rules. In a world where time means everything, the phrases "we're working on it" and "we need more time" echo through logistics centers. As businesses strategize their next moves, many contemplate shifting to more expensive courier services. But these options come with their own set of challenges, particularly for smaller volumes of goods. The question looms: who will shoulder the weight of these mounting costs? When systems clarify costs upfront, customers are less likely to be surprised, yet businesses may find their margins dwindling. Whether through establishing domestic warehouses for swift distribution or adapting their product lines, companies venture into unknown territory. The low-cost postal channel that once held sway is now being supplanted by a more regulated and costly system, forcing suppliers to reconsider their operational models. As the landscape shifts beneath our feet, the reality for border city economies is unfolding, and it's evident that adapting to these new conditions will require not just compliance but innovation. What does this mean for everyday families and businesses? As they await the normalization of processes, the future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the once familiar corridors of trade are transforming painfully, requiring all participants to adapt or face the consequences. As the pulse of this economic drama unfolds, potential solutions lie within organizational adaptations and strategic alliances. But will they be enough to sustain the vibrant trade that once defined the border? Previously, we saw how the simple, quick add to cart, delivered in 2 days model powered by Dominus vanished overnight. Now, every package needs customs duties paid and detailed data provided before it moves. This new rule is clear on paper, but in reality, it demands a fully prepared supply chain, and that's where the chaos begins. Postal services are mostly public institutions. Expecting them to instantly build complex systems, warehouses, brokers, duty calculations is like asking a river to change course overnight. The tough talk about a hard border? Mostly political theater. Yet, behind the scenes, businesses on both sides of the border are scrambling to adapt. The US-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, created a tightly woven network of production and sales. Auto parts, textiles, hobby electronics, even medical supplies all flow back and forth daily. With the removal of the Dominus exemption, the goal to block smuggling is clear. But this change ignites a fierce debate: who will pay the price? The answer hit fast. Sellers with pre-existing delivered duty-paid (DDP) systems or express shipping contracts keep moving goods. Everyone else stalls, frozen by new rules. This pause means delayed deliveries for consumers and cash flow headaches for small sellers. Then came the bombshell. Mexico's postal service announced a halt to accepting packages bound for the US. Why? Because a system that instantly calculates taxes, collects fees, and shares data in real time simply doesn't exist yet. The phrase "time is needed for compliance" echoes through logistics hubs like a warning siren. Even the United Nations Postal Agency backed this call, urging more technical preparation before these tariffs could function smoothly. On the US side, small business owners reacted with a mix of hope and dread. We'll just switch to couriers. But express shipping is a double-edged sword. It's fast, yes, but costly, especially for small, low-volume products. Suddenly, the once cheap and simple postal route gave way to a tightly controlled, expensive bottleneck. Prices climb. Margins shrink. Consumers feel the pinch. So now the burning question: who will shoulder this new financial burden? The answer isn't just numbers, it's about survival. Will sellers absorb the hit? Will customers pay more? Or will some simply vanish from the market? The border economy stands at a crossroads, with every package weighing heavy on the scales of trade, trust, and tenacity. What happens next? Will micro-producers find a way through this maze, or will the new rules crush the very life of cross-border commerce? The next chapter will reveal how the players adapt or fall. Previously, we saw how rising shipping costs for small orders are shaking up the once simple, low-cost postal channel. This change forces sellers and buyers to face tough questions: who pays this new price? The impact is no longer abstract, it hits families and businesses right at the border, stirring frustration and confusion. Now, imagine a world where every online purchase clearly shows all taxes and customs fees upfront, delivered duty paid, or DDP. Sounds perfect for customers, right? No unpleasant surprises at the door. But here's the catch: sellers must absorb these extra costs, squeezing their profit margins tighter than before. On the other hand, there's the door arrival payment method, known as DAP. Here, customers get their packages held at customs. They see what's owed and decide: pay up or lose the item. Refusing payment triggers sky-high return fees, often more painful than the original cost. It's a gamble, full of risks and delays. Then comes the bulk solution: renting tiny warehouses inside the US to stockpile goods and ship domestically. This micro-fulfillment system speeds up deliveries but brings fresh headaches: warehouse rents, third-party logistics charges, and managing returns all pile up. The result across all three paths? A costly, slower shipping game replaces the old fast and cheap gamble. Border businesses are scrambling to master this new reality. Some cling to express shipping contracts, embracing DDP despite increasing prices, keeping orders flowing but margins shrinking. Others invest in US-based warehouses to handle bulk shipments. This speeds local delivery but burdens them with inventory risks and extra financing. Still, another faction halts sales entirely, pausing until they can realign their strategies, a freeze that chills local employment and livelihoods. Small producers explore selling through US wholesalers to skirt border bottlenecks. Yet even this route isn't easy. Added commissions nibble away profits, tightening margins further. The game is getting tougher by the day. But the most delicate story unfolds with family parcels. Items once sent with ease, clothes, school essentials, heartfelt gifts, now demand strict paperwork. Official rules try to be forgiving for personal letters and low-value tokens, but real-life experience paints a harsher picture. Most families don't know these new complexities. Packages sent without proper documentation often come back stamped "Return to sender." Imagine the heartbreak trapped in these delayed or lost gifts, breaking the quiet bond between loved ones. As frustration grows, so does public outcry. Social media swells with cries of "my gift is stuck at customs." The border's daily rhythm, once humming with simple exchanges, now pulses with tension and uncertainty. What will become of these fragile ties and small businesses? The system demands adaptation, but at what cost? The next moves could redraw the map of cross-border trade and redefine lives on both sides forever. Previously, we saw how new regulations demand strict documentation for shipments, especially gifts sent across the border. Many families, unaware of the rules, have had their packages returned with a "return to sender" stamp. This has sparked frustration and a surge of complaints online, putting pressure on public opinion. Now, imagine standing at the border, hearing the anxious whispers of families whose gifts are trapped in customs. The air thickens with disappointment, and the once simple act of sending a package turns into a maze of confusion and delays. The urgent solution? Before sending anything, check every customs requirement carefully. Don't stretch the definition of what counts as a gift. Whenever possible, opt for all-inclusive shipping options like delivered duty paid, where taxes and fees are handled upfront, leaving no surprises at the door. But what role does the US-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, play in all this? USMCA sets the rules about where products come from and offers preferential tariff treatment accordingly. Yet, the exemption known as de minimis, which allowed small packages to bypass duties, wasn't born from this agreement. It was a unilateral practice by the United States. Now that this exemption has vanished, anything outside USMCA's scope faces full US tariffs. Even goods that fit within the agreement's rules must now meet new declaration and data requirements for mail shipments. Legally, the boundaries are clear. In practice, the lines blur. Because of this, Mexican authorities stress compliance and data accuracy, while border cities scramble to find brokers and software solutions. Political speeches still chant tight borders, but the economic truth yearns for smooth, functioning supply chains. So, what's the path forward for businesses surviving in these border economies? It breaks down into three crucial steps. First, build a delivered duty-paid infrastructure. This means showing all taxes and customs fees right in the shopping cart online. Automate tax collection and declarations. This transparency keeps the customer calm and slashes the chance their package gets bounced back. Second, maintain small warehouses inside the United States for seasonal and fast-moving products. This strategy cuts delivery times and improves product availability for American customers. Third, rethink the product lineup. Cut back on low-cost items that don't make sense under the new fixed customs duties, like the $8 or $20 charges that hit small shipments hard. Instead, focus on higher-value products that justify the cost. These steps demand investment and adjustment. But they offer something priceless: predictable pricing and steady business flow. No more surprises that kill sales or frustrate customers. A new rhythm emerges, one that balances legal demands with market realities. Yet, beneath this practical roadmap lies a deeper question: who will bear these new costs? Sellers, buyers, or someone else? The answers will shape the border economy's fate, changing how goods cross, how businesses operate, and how families connect through the simple act of sending a package. Will the border become an impenetrable wall? Or can it transform into a well-oiled gateway? The answer depends on how swiftly these changes take root and how boldly the players adapt. The landscape for large online marketplaces in the US is shifting dramatically in response to a new regulatory environment. Leading platforms have long embraced a cost structure that aligns closely with delivered duty paid, or DDP. This transparency allows customers to see taxes and customs fees upfront during the checkout process, avoiding unwelcome surprises upon delivery. However, small producers struggle to adapt to these changes, which may force them to pivot towards centralized brand platforms for storage and fulfillment. As these major platforms scale their third-party logistics, small to medium-sized businesses are likely to abandon independent shipping models in favor of a more integrated approach. This transition comes with significant ramifications for the labor market along the border. With a slowdown in package deliveries, cities near the border are experiencing notable job losses, especially in areas like package sorting and distribution. While express shipping can somewhat cushion the blow, high costs limit its effectiveness initially. To combat these challenges, the public sector must accelerate its roadmap for enhancing broker compliance services in border towns. Additionally, small enterprises could utilize small-scale support initiatives to transition to DDP. These efforts do not contradict the political rhetoric of strict border control, rather, they create a structured, predictable framework for commerce. Looking ahead, the rules regarding customs duties and tariffs are unlikely to change. The exemption known as de minimis is not making a comeback. Therefore, low-value imports will continually be subject to tariffs. The normalization of trade flow hinges on the postal network's ability to adapt their data systems. As international standards become the norm, the channels for postal shipments will slowly, but undoubtedly, begin to reopen. Yet, the reality for consumers is clear: expect delays and an increase in returns as businesses scramble to adjust to this new order. The question looms, how long will it take for these changes to stabilize, and will the landscape of international shipping ever return to what it once was? The time for adaptation is now, and the stakes have never been higher. Previously, we saw that reopening the postal channel depends entirely on postal networks mastering new data collection software. Only when standardized electronic documents, secure payment portals, and automated tax calculation systems are in place can packages start moving freely again. The road ahead is clear, but the effects will ripple far beyond just shipping logistics. Imagine this: once postal services reopen, the entire market will never look the same. DDP, delivery duty paid, will become the unquestioned norm. Shipping won't be about surprise fees at the door anymore. Instead, U.S. inland warehouses will play a crucial role. Bulk shipments will enter these hubs, breaking down into domestic orders for faster, more predictable delivery times. This shift reshapes not just how parcels cross borders, but how buyers experience buying itself. On your end, this means brace for hassle in the coming months. Back-to-school season, once smooth and swift, will see unexpected delays. Holiday shopping might be even more tangled. Returns will spike. But the trickle-down is clearer: pricing, no more shock charges right before your package arrives. As months pass, prices will rise, but the chaos of hidden fees will fade. Over the longer term? Expect a surge in sourcing from inside the U.S. More distributors based in Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. will handle border trade, promising fast delivery with upfront taxes paid. Jobs will spike locally, but don't expect a return to bargain bin costs. The game's changing: rules are tight, margins thinner, but business steadier. Politics screams tough borders for security. But the heartbeat of the economy beats differently. Every snapped supply chain thread increases costs for producers and consumers alike. Without creating technical bridges to support the cross-border flow, harsh border policies risk strangling small producers and squeezing families on both sides. The answer lies in a delicate dance: lawmakers enforcing rules strictly, governments clarifying requirements clearly, and businesses adapting swiftly. Mexico's postal halt wasn't a political stunt, it was a technical reboot demanding time and clarity to avoid chaos. So what's next? Sellers must pivot fast to DDP models. Border cities need to build capacity with brokers and compliance systems to keep trade alive. The clock is ticking. Will the fragile supply web hold, or will delays and higher costs become the new normal? The future depends on rapid adaptation and the courage to shoulder change head-on. Earlier, we discussed how clear guidance and preparation time led to Mexico's postal pause being a technical hurdle, not a political ploy. Early solutions involved sellers shifting to DDP in border cities, boosting broker compliance. Now, large platforms offer affordable third-party logistics to support small sellers, while public agencies manage data collection through streamlined channels. This coordination is slowly easing the trade bottleneck once choked by sudden customs rules. But what if this cooperation fails? The forced move away from traditional postal couriers could ignite permanent price friction. Shoppers would face higher costs, fewer product options, and longer waits. The ripple effect would shrink market diversity and strain livelihoods tied to quick, low-cost shipments. This warning challenges business leaders and policymakers alike. How do you keep the economy alive while tightening border security? The solution lies in a balanced framework, one that pairs strict tariffs with transparent customs processes and standardized data management. Small businesses must receive compliance support, or risk vanishing under new regulations. Mexico's postal halt highlights a critical flaw: without these tools, trade grinds to a halt. Build that bridge, and both U.S. shoppers and border entrepreneurs can breathe easier. So we ask, which is fairer, prepaid DDP or cash on delivery? And which model lasts longer, a network of micro-warehouses near the border or platform-centric sales with centralized logistics? These questions shape the future of cross-border trade. The story is far from over. And real answers depend on evolving policies and market reactions. Your perspective matters. Stay tuned as we track fresh developments and real-life stories unfolding in this evolving saga.